ठीक है। और दीपक जी अभी नहीं, जब शुरू होगी अभी पॉज कर दे।
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Back to School. This is a conceptual rendering that is adopted by and sponsored by the American Desi Society, also known as ADS. It's a forum where we invite the unique speakers in their field. They have tremendous experience, education, and wisdom to discuss their specialty. We pick on the unique subjects, and today again, I hope that you will find it very unique that we are going to learn. This is a classroom setting. As I said, it's back to school, and decorum is like teacher and student. So we listen to the new information that we do not know. Or if you have a question, you want to make a comment, hold it back, just like you would do in classroom towards the end of the lecture. We generally tend not to debate, not to have arguments, but to support the learning environment and foster that kind of activity. Today, this is my pleasure and honor to introduce Mr. Makhan Gupta, who has a very impressive CV. I was looking at his biodata. He has a bachelor's in science and chemistry, botany, and zoology. He worked in metal finishing for over 30 years, and you can imagine how much one can learn just by being on a certain job for 30 years. And that was all in US, Canada, and China. So there is a diverse experience from different countries. And over 30 years, as you would imagine, the science also evolves. So he grew up with in that sense. He operated the chemistry labs and wastewater plants. So he has a lot of experience that is relevant to today's topic regarding the water. He also worked for the steel mills, which made the ductile iron pipes for the portable water. So the water that we drink, if it stays inside the metal pipe, what's going to happen to the water before it comes to a glass of water in our hand? And he used to be an auditor for the National Sanitation Foundation of California, which I would think, and he will tell us a little more about that, controls the quality of the water and things like that. So without further delay, I would like to introduce to you Mr. Makhan Gupta. Sir, you can upload your slides and please proceed. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the introduction. First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this today. I love to do it. It's a kind of fun subject for me. And because of the electroplating industry, the water used in the industry has to be very high purity, plus a lot of volume. And then a lot of regulation comes in. And so I learned a few things. I've been retired for quite a few years, so I have not done this kind of a presentation for many years. So if I fumble through or make some mistakes, please forgive me for that. So today I'm going to present Water 101. So most of the information I'm sharing today is available through our different media, some from the book, some from internet, some from experience, some from just learning one from each other. But finding this information in one file at one place is pretty much next to impossible. So today we're going to talk about water. As you see, the necessities of life on this earth, they are water, sunlight, air. And there are plenty of it in the universe. There are plenty of this earth, and they are all free. And the way the Lord provides this planet with all these three things, life-sustaining things, they are all free. But now question comes in, if they are all free, then why we are paying for it? The question is, the question is, we do not or may not be paying for these products what we are paying these products being delivered to us. Second part is the way they are, we may not like it the way it is, and we want somebody making changes to the product. So we pay for it. Then some of us want this to be tailored or fit to my personal use. So we're paying for it. Then on the top of that, the government of every country, especially the US and many of the other European countries, they have a very tough standards, what we need, what we don't need, and that's why we're paying for it. And other time, the water source is one place and we're living a far away from it, and somebody has to bring it to us. So we're paying for that. So this is where the cost is coming from. Now, I just listed the sources of water in this world: the ocean, rivers, waterfalls, rain, streams, lakes, pond, water wells. And if you look at it, other than most of them are not creating water, not making any water, they are just water is right there, and it's free to be used for any one of us. And as we all know, the property of water is a colorless, odorless, tasteless. And these are next two things I want to talk to you is a very important. Water is the most studied subject, most studied compound in the world. So there's so much information available, you cannot even comprehend it all. And this other part is, as the substance is found in nature, either a solid or a gas or a liquid, water is the only substance which is found in these three stated on this planet. And water is the biggest or the best solvent in the world. Now, when something is a big solvent, obviously it creates a few challenges because everything is dissolved in water, or most of the things are dissolved in water. The question comes in, is there more water on the earth or more water underneath the earth? Most of the people do not know the answer. They do believe there's more water on the earth because of oceans and everything else. But a fact is there is a more water under the earth than it is on the earth. But to get to it, we have to drill down 400 kilometers into the earth to get the water out for our uses. And the two study has been done where people has trying to go to the core of the earth. One was the Kola Peninsula in Russia. They were gone to a little over 12,000 meters in the ground. Then they stopped, couldn't do it. Didn't have tools to do it. Another was in German continental, where they were going down about 9 kilometers, and the tool didn't work beyond that, and study was stopped. So if some question comes in, where is the more water available? There's a lot more water available under the earth. The formula for water in chemistry, no, I'm gonna talk about pH. Every time we turn around, we always talking about the pH of water. We give you the balanced pH water, we'll give you the alkaline pH of water, and most of the people may not know what is pH mean. So I'm trying to explain a little bit about a pH. The water formula is HOH or H2O, and pH is a logarithmic value of hydrogen ion. It is a H plus ions, and if the H ions, the pH scale read from 0 to 14, where 7 is neutral. If there are more H ions, then the fluid is acidic. If there are more OH or hydroxyl ions, the pH value is high and the fluid is alkaline. And nature in water is naturally, if they get HOH, And if there's nothing else, it's pure water, HOH, 1H, 1OH, then pH would be 7. So don't get confused by pH too much. If somebody interested how to check a pH meter or checking meters are very inexpensive, very simple to use. You can buy it on Amazon for less than $20. But there's no need to buy one because it doesn't do anybody any good. Now, few things I just listed, looked at from internet, and pH of common fluid. You will see now we've been bombarded on it about a pH of water, what we should have, what we shouldn't have. pH of human body is 7.35 to 7.45. Human urine is 4.5 to 7.8. EPA regulation, this is important. Our Environmental Protection Agency, they regulate the water and they say the pH of the water for household use should be between 6.5 to 8.5. Distilled water, which we do not drink, not recommended for drinking, is 5 to 7. The bottled water pH is 6.5 to 7.5. Ocean water is about pH 8, and acid rain is a low pH. The reason I bring the ocean water, the pH is 8, but same token, it has so many salts in it, so it's not fit to drink. Now, we always talk about hard water, soft water. So I want to talk a little bit about what is hard water. If water has a very high amount of mineral, it's called hard water. Hard water is formed when what happens is as the water comes through either a ground, through the ground or over the ground, being a great solubility, it can dissolve the limestone, the chalk, calcium, magnesium, carbonate, bicarbonate, sulfates, all these things are dissolved in it, and that makes the amount of solid in water being too high. Just 1 second. I'm sorry. The hard water, okay. The 3 things I have listed here, what makes the water hard water? Hard water hardness, if it runs from 100 parts per million, and that's to 200 parts per million, the water is called hard. And what it means is it has 0.01% dissolved solid in there, which makes equal to 100 parts per million. That water is considered hard water. Very hard water will have more than 200 parts per million. The soft water will be 10 to 50 or 0.001%. So this is how, if you take now question comes in, how do I test my water in my home? You can buy a testing meter, which is again pretty inexpensive, and you can test your water, tell you the TDS, total dissolved solids. Now, what are the signs of hard water? As we wash our hand, it leaves a film of solids, a film of something in our hand. When we wash the dishes, especially in dishwasher, when the dishes comes out, you see the spots on them. These are the spots from the solids that left on the dishes after water washes down, runs down, or evaporates. As we wash clothes, our clothes becomes also have a residue on them, and you can feel it. If we have a hard water in our homes, there is many times the chances are that our water line may have a lime deposit or calcium deposit in there, and water pressure goes down. A hard water, you also see the rings in the toilet, you see the faucet, white cocky stuff on it. You also see the glass on the shower doors may have solids on them. And they're very, very difficult to come off because they're hard to clean. And then as you use the shampoo or soap, you see that you're having less foam in your hair, on your hands, if the water is too hot. Now, opposite to that, what are the signs of soft water? Soft water, when you put a little bit of shampoo soap on, it gives you a lot of soap. The clothes comes out cleaner and have no spots on them. Your water pressure in the home pretty much stays constant, doesn't go down. Your hands are cleaner, and you have a no solid, a very little solids around your shower door, fixtures, dishwasher, and other areas. Now this slide, I want you to take a look at what are the health risk of hard water or benefit of hard water. The health, there is no really a health risk known to mankind if the water is too hard. And the skin, if you are using a hard water, and your skin generally dries up, and some people complain of itching or eczema like situation by after using hot water, and the skin pH changes. Some people it matter, mostly do not. And also the other risk is you have a lot of deposit on the pipes and showers and glasses. And the one thing that I want people to realize, that hard water also help you to get your daily minerals. It has enough sodium in there, enough calcium in there, magnesium may be there, and it will help you to you don't have to take that many vitamins anymore. Now your water is drinking hard water, so less vitamins need. And also compared to a soft water, which is sometimes done by using a sodium chloride or potassium chloride, it can give you a cardiovascular problem. But if you do not have a soft water, don't have the machine, then you do not have to worry about the cardiac risk because of water. Then I'm going to switch up to what is the potable water. Potable word was new to me in this country. I did not learn this word in India as I was growing up or in chemistry. Potable water is defined as water that is suitable for human consumption, that is drinking as well as cooking. Water is drinkable as well as safe for cooking. This is the information, this is how our EPA define the potable water. Then we also read fresh water. I want to drink a fresh water, right? Now, fresh water is a natural occurring water, and except the ocean, all the other water are considered as a fresh water. Fresh water is not always a potable water. Fresh water doesn't mean it is always a water that you can safely drink. Most of the fresh water on this earth surface and groundwater is not suitable for human consumption without some treatment. Groundwater is the largest active freshwater source. So most of the water our use comes from the groundwater, and as we say, most of it is not fit to use without doing something to it. Drinking water standards. Every human and animal on this earth needs drinking water to survive, and the water may contain harmful content. This is a statement. No universal international standard for drinking water. This is amazing that every country define their own, control their own, what water is potable water, what is not. The Safe Drinking Water Act in this country is generally known as SDWA, Safe Drinking Water Act. In USA, EPA set the standard for drinking water. Environmental Control Agency set the standards. SDWA was passed in Congress in 1974 with changes made in 86 and 96. As you can see, this country, if you look at our history, they have not come out with the standards until 1974. EPA sets limit for over 90 contaminations in water. EPA sets water test schedule and method. What we're looking at here is even we, like for example, for our homes, water coming in our faucet, that water coming to your house is set standard by the EPA. They do check about 90 contaminants in the water, and they also control how the municipality tests the water, what they test, when to test, and most of us have seen in our water bill about 3-4 times a year, they will send you the lab results of all those tests. There are 90 different things they check. Safe Drinking Water Act, or again SDWA. This act only applied to public water system, that is the city water. Private wells, there are about 13% people in this country who have their own wells, and EPA do not control that. Neither they control the bottled water. Bottled water is regulated by FDA, Food and Drug Administration. So EPA is not controlling the water we drink out of the bottle that we buy. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about NSF, National Sanitation Foundation. We talked about the water being tested, being cleaned, being delivered to us. But for the water to come to us, it has to come through some kind of conduit, a pipe or a something. And dishes that we cook in, they also are boiling water, cooking the water. All these things are controlled by NSF. NSF has a regulation called 61. NSF 61 is one of the most popular NSF regulation. It checks the components of the water being delivered to us, the conduit, health effect. The committee consists of manufacturer of plumbing parts, mineral, plastic, and metal, taxologist, state regulation, office extra. Goal is to make none of the material or the process used for the flow of potable water is contaminated during the delivery of our homes. You can see NSF seal on most pots and pan, shower and hand. If you go to a store today and buy for example, a shower head or a faucet, you will see a stamp on it say NSF approved. NSF is a group of people come from a very different professionals, and they make sure as the water enter the conduit and delivered to our home is exactly the same as it was entering the pipe. For example, US Pipe and Foundry, they are in Union City, California, over 100-year-old company. They make this pipe from 3-inch diameter to 64-inch or as big as you can walk through it. And these pipes are designed and made very high technology. So water gets in one end, come on the other end, miles and miles away, without changing any composition, without dissolving anything in it. So they play a major role as far the water does not change as being delivered to us. There are 7 types of water. There's tap water, mineral water, spring water, purified water, distilled water, and sparkling water. And we hear this most of the time. Some of us take time to look at it, some we do not look at it. The tap water, as we know, coming from the faucet of our home. Mineral water is generally the water coming out of the ground as is, and spring water is mostly coming from the natural spring as the snow and ice melting, and that's spring water. And if you take any water, you mechanically filter it or process, that becomes purified water. And distilled is if you take the water, you change into steam, condense the steam, and make the water again, that becomes distilled water. So you've taken all the solids out. Sparkling water, if you take a water, any kind of water, and you pass a carbon dioxide through it, that water becomes carbonated water. Carbon water does no other benefit other than having a taste what we may like. Tap water sold as bottled water. This is the one, this is amazing part that I wanna everybody know, that the water we are buying today, or we have been buying for years, in the bottle, it is no difference than water coming from the faucet. It is just filtered and have processed a little bit. And some of the example of the water sold as a bottled water, they may call fresh water. They are Alaskan Premium Glacier water, Aquafina, Dasani. These are the names, some of the water brand name being sold to us. And they are nothing more than a tap water. And here I want to mention the bottle industry. In the U.S., the water bottle industry is $15 billion industry. The bottled water will cost you 2,000 times more than the tap water. Average person in the US spends about $100 per year per person to buy a bottled water. And in worldwide, the bottle industry is $195 billion. So as you can see, the bottled water industry is a very big industry, and it's the same water that we get from the faucet or the tap just being processed and altered, either by taste or by filtration system. This slide here that I want everybody to kind of look at and think about it. Day after day after day, we have been bombarded with information that we are filtering our water. As you go to garage, you may see a water softener. There's a blue filter in front of it. And somebody says, I'm going to send you RO water. Some people say one filter, then RO. Some say two filters, then RO, three filters, then RO, four filters, then RO. The many people are marketing us the technology by having a filter system. And most of us, or many of us, may not understand what these filters may not be. So I have listed some of these filters: activated carbon filter, depth filter, metallic alloy filter, microporous ceramic filters, microfilters, membrane filters. Then most of the industry, when they come sell to you, they do not list that way. And here I want to talk to you about what these things do. So if you are buying a machine, equipment, or a system to your liking for a drinking water purity, so what filter they have, it's a good idea to ask them. For example, what does carbon filter do? Carbon filter will remove chlorine, sediments, VOC, and odor. They do not remove microorganism, the fluorides, nitrates, sodium, or magnesium. Depth filter, which we mostly have in our homes, they are nothing as a fabric or a thread wrapped around a plastic tube. They call them depth filter. They come in a different sizes, from 1 micron to 10 micron. Most of the homes may have 5 micron. Smaller the micron, tighter it bound, and more it holds, but the life of the filter also goes down. And depth filter will remove dirt, grit, sand, rust, and some organic solids. Then comes the metallic alloy filter. Metallic alloy filters are not very commonly used, but they are made from a combination of copper and zinc, and they are very good.
It's very interesting.
These metallic alloy filters are copper and zinc filter, and they are the very good source to remove heavy metals like mercury and some other heavy metals. And I think they play a major role. Removing lead and mercury is a part of life. The ceramic filters are the other filter, not very common, but if you being offered one, the benefit that is ceramic filter are one of those filter. They will remove the bacteria like E. coli, Shigella, Salmonella. They remove the bacteria. The other thing that don't remove the bacteria, kills the bacteria, is the UV light, ultraviolet light, which many people in our homes have and some do not. And then there are other very fine filters they call micro filters. And micro filters are pressure dependent. They're very, very tight. They're expensive. And they remove the total dissolved solid. And our goal is if somebody looking at a soft water, so you got to remove some of the dissolved solid. And the two type of microfilter, one is a microfilter, other is called nanofilters. Nanofilters are even smaller than microfilter. And I have not seen anybody using nanofilters I know of for the residential use. So these are some of the filtration system that good to know that what do they do. So if you are buying a 3-4 different filter system along with a machine you buy, then what to do, okay? Now here is talk about water softening. How do we soften the water, or what is the removing or replacing minerals in hot water is called water softening. And the alternative matter water treatment, water conditioning dissolved solids are altered so they do not form a scale. The two different statements I made. One is that when you're trying to soften the water, one place you are taking the minerals from this, for example, sodium and calcium. You take calcium and magnesium out, and you're replacing with the sodium or potassium. In this case, you are replacing the mineral. You're not taking anything out, but you are take one thing out, putting something else in it. And other part is you actually change the makeup of those solids. The second type are not very common, not mostly done. So alteration of dissolved solid is not very common, but most of the time when we're talking about making water soft, we are taking magnesium and calcium out, replacing with the sodium. These are the most common water softening methods. They are mostly people will buy a water softener attached in the garage for the water line coming in, and you put a salt in it. A salt goes in it, and the water comes through. It takes the salt, it dissolves into the little bowl there, little tank there. It became a barium solution. As the water comes through, the calcium, magnesium are held behind by the salt solution and being replaced with the sodium. So water you get, it is softer, but still it has a lot of sodium in it or potassium in it. Second is reverse osmosis, known as RO. And then there's in the industrial system, they're using precipitation method, ion exchange method, lime softening, washing soda method, and distillation. As we remember, as we were growing up in India, our mother, when they do the laundry, they will boil the water and they will add a washing soda in there. And, and that made the water solubility to go up, and soda made the water softer, so our clothes came in clean. Most of the methods that I've listed down there, they are not very common in a residential use, except the three things. One is salt or non-salt based water softener. Second is the RO unit. And third, obviously, drinking water becomes the bottles. Okay. Now, this is the most common household use, salt-based water softener. Process depends on ion exchange resin, where positively charged calcium and magnesium is exchanged with the sodium ions. Either sodium chloride or potassium chloride is used for ion exchange. It needs backwash and recharging on a regular basis. Many states in USA are stopping its use. Now, this is the common method. Matter of fact, California, Santa Clara County, and many other counties are stopping for people from using the salt-based water softener. The reason for that is, number one, it takes a lot of water to regenerate. And when it's regenerating, a lot of sodium salt is going to the drain and it's clogging up the drain and lining up the pipes. So city and counties are looking to stop the use of salt-based water softener. And so I just want to let you know that the other part that I wanted you to know that so may surprise you, average household using 70 to much higher. Somebody listed 400 pounds per year of salt in the water softener. I think most cost is more close to a $70. And the sodium chloride that we generally buy from Costco or where, it's about $5 a bag. Potassium, on the other hand, could be as much as $25 a bag. And so cost of using the unit is not as inexpensive as we think. The other thing I saw is, here I want to talk about 30% of the household in USA are using water softeners or some other kind of softener to soften the water. Other 75% of the household in USA do not use any water treatment, and they are drinking hard water and they are just fine. Reverse osmosis, this is the one that a lot of people are buying in these days. Reverse osmosis uses an applied pressure gradient across semi-permeable membrane to overcome osmotic pressure and remove water molecule from the solution and hard ions. The membrane has pores large enough to admit water molecule for passage, and calcium and magnesium ion will not fit through these pores. Membranes are a type of water filters. What I'm trying to say is, in reverse osmosis, there is a row of membranes are stacked against each other. And each membrane has a different pore structure, different size pore structure. So as the water being pushed through with the high pressure, these membrane held the pressure back, and all the impurities or so-called dissolved solids are held back, and the soft water goes through. Reverse osmosis uses or wastes a lot of water. So many countries, matter of fact, India right now looking at it, should they stop people from buying RO units? Because every household in India, as I go, I see a lot of RO units being used. Distillation is a very, very common. Everybody knows about it. You basically, water is heated and the water vapors are cooled to form water again. Soluble salt do not evaporate and are left behind. Process is costly and is not very common for drinking water. It's very expensive, not very common. And also the distilled water is very corrosive, and most of the medical doctor will not suggest to drink the distilled water on a regular basis. Magnetic water treatment is again it's an electrical system. It's a no chemical electrical system, and the study has been done that this process does not work. Somebody has a great idea that they can use a magnetic power to hold some impurities back or salts back, and system, best to my knowledge, the research I done is not doing well. So I will not recommend somebody spend money to do that. pros and cons of salt water softener. This is a kind of important to know. If we're getting a water softener, what we're getting, okay? With the soft water, we're using a less soap and detergent, have less deposit on our faucet, toilets, and shower. It also changes the taste because natural natural sodium and magnesium, calcium coming in, it may replace with something else, and taste may change. And clothes are clean and dishes are clean. Soft water may dissolve lead and other metals from the pipe. As you see, most of pipe come to our homes, they are copper and they are soldered together with the lead. And soft water can dissolve this lead from there and our water becomes contaminated. But in California and many of the states in USA, the copper pipe usage has been stopped or reduced to a very high level. And using a sodium chloride or salt for water softener, it increases the sodium level in the water up to 480 milligram per gallon more. And so there's a lot of sodium. If you are on a low sodium diet, you should not be drinking water being softened by salt-based water softening system. And all the minerals coming in our body naturally, we lose those. So we don't have, so we may be depending on vitamins and other minerals from the, okay. Other thing is that every time regenerate your water softener, you are wasting, depending on the machine, 120 gallon to 1,000 gallon per recharge. And it creates a very, very heavy load on the sewer system in the city. That's why many city or many counties are trying to stop that. These are the same thing with RO water. The pros, RO water, filters, most, they hold the contamination, the filters out, so no contamination comes through. It's a safe, environmentally friendly, cheaper than a bottled water, good for cooking, less deposit on fixtures. The negative parts are a lot of water has been wasted. The RO water, if you have a whole house RO water, you will have noticed or you will notice the pressure in your faucet will go down. Not because of the city water blocking pipe, but natural process reason. Very expensive. So often you have to change the membrane in there. You have to call somebody else. And WHO has warned that RO water causes more harm faster than drinking contaminated tap water. This is a statement I read made by WHO that RO water causes a lot of damages to you or your health compared to tap water as it is. Now comes to the bottled water, as we mentioned earlier. Bottled water is not controlled by EPA, it is controlled by FDA, Food and Drug Administration, and they do a very good job as far, they not only control what goes in the bottle, they also control the water processing method, how the water being held, how the water in the bottle being transported, make sure every condition the bottle company have, they are sanitized. And they also mandate the water coming to the bottling plant is free from bacteria and chemical contamination. And FDA does sample the company from bottled water, and they will also test, they approve, and in case of they find a contamination, they can tell the company to have water to be recalled or damage to be paid to the end user. So what bottled water, expensive it is, but FDA does control it and does a very good job doing it. There are, as you go to the Walmart or you see a lot of things there that handheld devices you can use for drinking water. There's a UV light, for example, I have one, it looks like a flashlight and you stick it on top of the bottle and press a button, the UV light shines into the water, and you leave in there, circulate, shake the water bottle for 2-3 times. In a matter of 2-3 minutes, it kills all the bacteria, right? And there's other handheld device like that. There's a filter system you probably have seen that camper use. Basically, the filter system is designed to hold all the bacteria and the dirt and solids in there. So you could basically take the swamp water and drink through the filter, and it will not make you sick. These filters are very inexpensive, $10, $12, $15 each, and get you through hard time, no problem. And matter of fact, when I went to Kailash a couple years ago, I took some with me in case I do not get a clean water. Then the statement, ultraviolet light kills germs, but does not make water soft. So for drinking purpose, you want to kill the germ, water does not have to be soft. What is better, tap or bottled water? This was the study done by Mayo Clinic. Again, I looked at on the internet. I don't know nothing about, don't know much about the study. And so I read the name Mayo Clinic. It has value to me. Both types of water is comparable in terms of safety. Choice of tap or bottled water is a matter of personal preference. Taste choice varies from person to person. Most cannot tell the difference between either water. So what Mayo Clinic did, they looked at the water, they did the testing, and mostly people, when they give you water, a bottled water or tap water, pour into a glass at the same temperature, at the same environment, same type of glass, people were not able to tell the difference. And as you have noticed, if you take a water which is chilled, the taste is a little different and better liked than just the water at room temperature. And then I looked at some of these things that since I'm from India, I said, let's see what's going on in India. So this is again, I look at the government site of India, the Department of Drinking Water Supply. The Department of Drinking Water Supply makes the laws and is responsible for providing safe drinking water to India. First national water policy was adopted in September 1987 and was reviewed or revised and updated in 2002 and 2012. So this is how the water in India is controlled. For that. Okay. Major consumer of water in India, they are irrigation for agriculture, rural municipal supply, industrial water uses. So these are the three major sources that use most of the water in India, and it is very proud to say that state of Odisha has the most water supply in India today. Groundwater pumping in India, groundwater extraction rate in India is the highest in the world. India extracts more water than China and USA together. This statement blew my mind away. I thought India being populated, but China and US together, pumping less water than India does today. Safe drinking water supply of India, an estimated 76 million people in India have no access to safe water supply. Asian Development Bank stated that by 2030, India will have a water deficit of 50%. Most of the water in India have high level of fluoride and arsenic, which is a very, very unhealthy. How India cleans its drinking water. These are the most common things that they're using. They boil it. Water is purified by some mechanical method, reverse osmosis. Water is chlorine is done to kill the germ, distillation, and iodine addition, solar purification. Iodine purification, I want to talk to you a little bit about it. What happened if you go to India, a pharmaceutical store, and they will sell you little bottle of iodine. It says water purification chemical, and you take a glass of water. If you are in a campground or wherever, you add a few drops of iodine, dissolve in there. It kills the germ, and it becomes safe to drink. The clay vessel filtration, very interesting, because I remember in old days in the villages, you take a clay pot and have some holes in them, and in there you fill the clay pot with the sand and charcoals and some clay, and put water on the top, and water dripped through these filtrations and comes down, and clean water was coming down on a vessel sitting underneath. UV radiation and desalination. That's the water coming from the ocean, made to drink or for agriculture use. So these are some of the common methods. Desalination is one of the most expensive way to get a water for drinking or washing clothes. So I went through these information very quickly. Forgive me if I didn't do a good job, but this is the end. But I am not concluding this because there is no conclusion. If somebody says, what is good, what is bad? It's a very, very difficult thing to ask. We can talk about good and bad. It's a very highly studied subject. And so I didn't say in conclusion, what is better, what is not good. So I'm gonna stop my slide sharing and I'm ready for question and answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta. That was just extremely informative and excellent talk, which I think we were looking forward to. As our charter is for this forum, the Back to School, it really served the purpose and stayed very close to the charter as we would like to see. There are obviously a number of questions, and I'll ask, the first question is asked by Mrs. Krishnamurthy. Andal has a question, says, is eczema caused by hard water? Sharad, I'm also calling on you and any other physician who is on the call to answer this question and help Makhanji.
Best to my knowledge, eczema is not caused by the water. The hard water gives you a dry skin. If dry skin is not treated over time, it could crack and could become a base for germination of some bacteria, some germ that may cause you one or the other skin problem. But best to my knowledge, eczema is not caused by hard water. Thank you.
Sharad, you have any additional editorial comments? Dr. Arora? If you are not online, then of course, I would think that the minerals, in fact, may be somewhat protective of the skin conditions. And as we know, zinc is used in many of these skin lotions and things like that. So although I have not researched it, but I tend to agree with Makhanji that that would be the correct answer. None of us actually have a training in dermatology, so, but good question, Andal. I have, you had something to say, Andal?
No, I said thank you for the answer.
Oh, you're very welcome. There's another question from Mrs. Raina. Girjaji is asking, do cardiac patients get more sodium by drinking filtered water?
Now let's look at what we went through today. The filtered water is a common word used for a filtration system, which could be no more than a wound filter, or could be a charcoal filter, could be any type of filter. So filter alone really not doing anything. The question comes in for cardiac arrest. If we are using a sodium base water softening system, which is in the garage, and most of us go in once a month or twice a month, put a 40 bag salt in it. But I looked at from different ways. If you are using a 40 pound of salt a month, for example, and out of that we are taking shower as well as drinking the water, we replacing the calcium and magnesium with the sodium. So we are taking in a large amount of sodium ion in our body. And if you are if you have a high blood pressure, or you are having some issue with the health, especially cardiac arrest, the high sodium in your body is not good for you. And sometimes doctor may advise you to use a low sodium diet. In that case, you drinking the water with the salt in it, you don't taste the salt, but you are consuming salt. So if somebody has a cardiac issue or a high blood pressure issue, but I recommend not to use a soft water made soft by sodium chloride juices. Thank you.
That's very inquisitive. I'm still waiting for, there are no questions in the box, but please feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question if you have any. I'll be very happy to entertain that. Otherwise, I have continued questions, of course, as you would expect. As a moderator, I got to facilitate certain topics. Is there a difference? You talked about the different sources of how we get the water. And somewhere along the way, you said the spring water generally is coming from the snowpack. Is there any difference in this form of water when the water is actually comes down on the earth as the form of the snow, and then later with the temperature changes, it changes its form to liquid? Is there any science there in the transition and change in the morphology, if you will, from snow into the water, liquid form?
Okay. First of all, the only a pure water becomes to steam, goes to and comes it down as rain or snow. And the temperature at that time with the rain and snow, especially snow and ice, is very, very low. At lower temperature, water solubility is lower also. So as the water falls on the ground and solubility is low, it does not really dissolve anything in it. But as the snow or ice melts and it runs down the stream or runs down over the land could be a clay, could be a dirt, could be a coal, or could be any surface, right? So as the water comes down, it not only warms up, it also flows with some velocity. Due to the velocity and the temperature rise, the solubility of that water becomes higher, and it keep on dissolving more and more and more and more natural elements in it. So as you keep going down the stream, the amount of solid being dissolved in the water becomes high. They're not necessarily bad for you because they're dissolving lime in there or dissolving magnesium in there. They're not necessarily the poison, but they may affect you or taste-wise or affect some other way. But if you look at River Ganges today, if you taste the water at the Gau mouth or Rishikesh upper hills, the water seems to be clear and pure and taste differently than as you come down to the Kanpur, Lucknow, or the other delta points, or even as close as a
Calcutta.
yeah. So anyway, so water itself is pure, but it get contaminated by the surrounding dissolved element. Thank you.
There is a follow-up question from Girjaji, who asked a question about the cardiac patients getting more sodium by drinking filtered water. Her follow-up question is, then what choices do they have in that case?
First of all, the tap water for anybody, cardiac or non-cardiac, for anybody, the tap water coming in our home is well protected, well tested, and well managed. So drinking a tap water is perfectly all right. right? And a lot of time we're spending money on a filtration system that we may not need, okay? And so tap water is the best thing. Second is, I read was, if you take a simple jug that with a filter in the middle of it, I forgot the brand name of it. If you just take a tap water and filter through a simple bound filter, that is a perfectly healthy water to drink, unless doctor advise you do something different. Like right now, many bottling companies are trying to sell you that high alkaline water is good for you, low alkaline water good for you. Matter of fact, recently somebody is marketing a machine that will deliver you the water of any pH you want. So basically water coming in, machine sits there and you say I want a pH of Y, you press the button, the 5 pH comes out. I say my wife says I want a pH 9, press the number 9, 9 comes out. These are unnecessarily machine. I believe we should not be spending money unless you think it's okay to do.
That's excellent. You talked about the taste of the water, and I just wanted to ask you a question. When I go to San Jose, let's say, I do not like the taste of the water, and in Stockton, where I lived over 30 years, I really like that taste of water. So is it the difference on my tongue, or is it all in my head?
No, what happens is the water taste is regional. Give you an example. Years ago, Saudi Arabia in 80s, they made the best pure water by desalination from the surrounding ocean, and they brought to the people for drinking, and nobody liked it. So what they did, then every town, they collected water, they ran the water over that particular town's rock formation or dirt and delivered to the homes, and everybody loved it. So what happens is there's a one kind of, if you take a tap water in your city and tap water next city, the dissolved solid in that city, number one, parts per million may be different. Second, the amount of one matter to the other may be higher or lower, so taste is different. The one thing that I would recommend people to do as we travel, still want drinking water, the best way to do it is chill the water down and add a little lemon to it. And that will bring the taste as close it is at your house, right? And so the best thing to do is cold water and little lemon in it. And I also, when I was reading this thing, I also want to search and read a little more about many Indian family. They comes to my house and my friends with, they believe they want to drink warm water either before food, after food, 15 minutes after food. Somebody says 10 minutes after food. And there are so many, somebody says, I want a jeera water, I want a lemon water, right? None of these things does anything for you. So if you're drinking hot water, or drinking cold water, a chilled water, ice water, lemon water, they have no effect on your health. So my statement or what I'm saying is, please drink water, keep hydrated. Cold water, hot water, warm water, before food, after food, it doesn't make a difference. And if you are worried about taste, add a lemon in it or put the fake sugar, sweet and low, and put a little sweet and low in there, it tastes just fine. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm still waiting for more questions. And while I'm waiting, I have a question. Is there a difference, or what would be your recommendation? Because when I go to a store to buy water, there is regular water, there is spring water, there is mineral water. How do I make that choice other than the taste?
The first of all, the bottle companies, they are there to make profit, and nothing of making profit. Profit is okay. We all want to make profit or make money. The water, bottled water is one of the most game playing business there is. They will, if you look at all the drinking bottle, what they have, they put either a blue cap on the bottle or they put a label around it. So what happening is the blue is sending a message to mind. It's a clear, it's a clean, it's a perfect. Okay. So they put a little blue tint to it so we can feel it. And then when you read the ingredient there, the obel says tap water, filters, reverse osmosis, right? So what bottle you buy doesn't make any difference. For some reason or the other, the internet has listed about 7 different brand of water, which are considered superior by the people, right? And they were, I don't have the list, I didn't save the list there. And they said, these are the best water being sold in the world. But when you look at it, they're same as other water. So I would say if something for sale, it says reverse osmosis, filter water, just as good as any. Bottled water you buy as a convenient. That is, hey, I want to go in a car, I need a bottle. I want to go to a camp, it's easy, convenient, easy to carry. So it doesn't really give you a health benefit.
Thank you. Your answers are making me more excited to ask more questions because they are coming to my mind. And I'm still encouraging my audience, if you have any questions, because soon as the questions finish, which is I have 5, 6 more, we will close the session. So if you have a question, don't hesitate. Just like always, please ask. And if your questions are being answered as I'm asking my question, your answer may be hitting there. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to. So when I go to check in a hotel or motel, and I have to drink water, many times there is no water except the tap water, which for some reason I find hesitant to drink. And either the bottle water is not available or is too expensive. What are your comments on that tap water drinking in hotels?
I am just as scared as you are drinking a water from the faucet in a hotel. And at that particular time, the best thing I found to use, if you bottle as $5, $6 a piece, especially sometimes very higher, ideal thing to do is you take the water from the faucet and boil it if possible, and let it boil minimum for 1 minute. Let it cool off, bottle it, take it with you and drink. So most inexpensive and safe way, the best way to have a safe drinking water is boil the water and let it boil for 1 minute minimum. Then cool it down and bottle it. That is the most safe way to drink water anywhere in the world, no matter what the source may be.
Thank you. That's wonderful. I'm still waiting for anybody else who would like to make a comment or ask the question. And while we are waiting, above and beyond, Makhanji, whatever filters that are placed in our houses by the plumbing people, do you recommend that we buy extra filters and place it at the tap lines, etc., wherever we use the water either for cooking or drinking?
If anybody is using a whole house filtration system, that generally this filter is about 10 inches long, about 4-inch diameter, and they are in a blue vessel, generally in the garage, and they should be changed 6 months to 1 year. Put a new one in it. They are either 0 or 1 micron to 10 micron. Putting in a 5 micron, 10 micron filter is fine, and replace it once a year. Other people have a filter in the fridge, and mostly the fridge filter are very expensive to replace. If you are using using a tap water, filter light comes on. You put a 50 watt filter in there, $50 in there. In about 2 months, light comes on, and it scares us, forces us to change it, right? What I have found, if I reset it at least 1 or 2 times, then keep using it, I find no difference in the taste of ice color, or taste of water. And then I buy the filter from the online. For example, if I buy a filter for my fridge from a reputable source, $40 to $50 a piece, and then I buy online, generic filter, exactly same filter, they are 3 for the price of 1. So then the other filter system that really works the best for cooking and drinking is that water filter jug sits on your counter. It's about a gallon, 2-gallon jug. So if you come in the morning, fill it with water and let the water percolate the filter, and you drink the water, cook with the water. That seems to be most inexpensive and best water to use per my study.
Thank you. That's very good. There is a question from Girjaji, and then Jalota ji, and one more question from, it says iPhone, so I cannot identify, but I'll ask the question on your behalf. Girjaji wants to know, do we need fluoride toothpaste or iodized salt?
The fluoride toothpaste or iodized salt do not have any connection with the potable or drinking water system. Most of if you look at the industry in the USA, they recommend using a iodized salt as a regular part of diet, right? And iodine in the salt protects us against multiple things. Your doctor probably can tell you more about it, or I can read it and tell you. But iodized salt, we use iodized salt, one must use. And second is the amount of fluoride in the toothpaste will help you to get your teeth clean, kill the germ, plus more whitening. So there's nothing wrong with a fluoride tooth, fluoride paste, and iodized salt is good for you.
Okay. Thank you. That's a great question. I just wanted to make a comment on that blue filter thing. I'd like to say that our audience today, our friends and family, even if they are not online, when they will watch this video, do you know where that filter is, the blue filter, which is supposed to be at least in your garage at one location? Locate it, find it, and see when was the last time it was changed. I lived in this house for 30 years and I don't even know where that is located. So after the webinar, I'm going to go and find if there is a filter and when was the last time it was changed. So I strongly recommend that we do that as an action item after this webinar, if we have learned something from here.
The builders do not have to, not recommended to, or being told to install those water filters in our homes. So basically, water from the street comes to our house. It is diverted from the outside to the yard, and second pipe come in the garage and distribute to the garage, go to water heater and the water usage, the faucets and the bathroom. Later on, as the homeowner decide to use a filter, water softener, RO water, or a ion exchange, then they put that in there. Matter of fact, many people have a water softener, may not have a filter. Right? So as you go in the garage, you may not have one because none has been installed. In this case, do not hire people to put a filter in there. Just go to a Target or a Walmart, wherever, buy a jug with a filter right in the middle. I forgot the brand names. I think it's a very common name. And just fill it with water. It's perfectly all right. So don't spend your money. I have a ion exchange system in my house. I have a filter system in there. I change once a year. And I just, whenever I change it, I take a pencil, write right on the wall, right on the top in the garage wall. I put the date on there. So that's how I do it.
Okay. So Sharad, when I come back after next question, I might ask you a question that's been looming in my mind when we talk about the iodine and people who have a thyroid condition, whether what will happen if they took a iodine load. So I'll ask you that question a little later. I just wanted to alert you. Mr. Jalota has a question, which I'm going to add my question to his question also because they are on the same page. Mr. Jalota would like to know, will the bottled water sitting in the garage develop bacteria with summer heat over time? And in the same connection, my question is, Is there any harmful effect on the bottled water, because these are plastic bottles sitting in your car for a few days in the hot summers? So similarly, what's the effect of the heat onto this water? And of course, I have also added the plastic component to it.
There are the water, if you look at the water delivered to our homes, most of the water, almost all the water coming to our house is delivered at about 55 degree Fahrenheit. And it has a certain property at 55 degree Fahrenheit, also a certain minimum effect on the conduit it comes through. There are two types of bottle. One has a BPA in it, some do not. Plastic bottle, as it heats up above 55 degree, it starts leaching out the BPA in there, which is not good for your health. So you should not be drinking water being got hot and cold in the car. And here I want to bring out one of the new things that I read is called microplastic. And we have not been told, neither have been told by our doctors or a health issue, that everybody in this country takes in quite a large amount of microplastic in their body, either by cooking or by drinking the water from the bottles. And at one place, this says each person takes in 1 credit card weight's worth of microplastic per month. We inhale or drink that much in your body. Microplastic has not known to create a health hazard in our body, and so it has never been told, hey, don't do this. But microplastic is a big issue, especially if you go to some other countries. Amount of microplastic people inhaling is very, very high, and it could create an unhealthy effect. And Indonesia was listed as the highest amount of microplastic inhaled or being in or drink by the water in the world. So anyway, back to the question, plastic does leach out the chemical into the water at a high temperature. So it's a good idea not to do this. And a bottle which is closed and sealed sitting in a garage will not create a microorganism in there. But one thing, one must be careful that there could be some rodent, a cockroach, bugs, or other elements in our garage that we may not know of. They may be lurking over our soda bottles or water bottles and either urinating or leaving feces that we don't know of. So it's a good idea if you got a water or drinking fluid stored in a garage, when you bring in the house, wash it on the outside of it. So that's best I know. Thank you.
Oh, that's very practical advice, and I very much appreciate it. There is one more question here that I see on the screen. Is what is the most common home filtration system in India, and is it effective for those traveling?
When I start studying the India waters issue, I took out the mindset I have. I took out the political issue of it, right? And I basically looked at what's happening in India as I travel or at home. The RO, reverse osmosis, have been the most common machine used in India. And India is going towards making those machines to be illegal. They do not want people to buy RO unit because the waste of water, shortage of water. And the bottled water in India, there are 2-3 very nice brand. If you find them original bottles, they are again filtered, reverse osmosis, properly controlled water, and they are safe to drink. Compared to if somebody just take those empty bottles laying on the ground, wash and fill them and seal them and sell them. So water in India is okay to drink, but it must be either bottle or RO. If you are traveling in India, I suggest take your own water with you in your car. Do not buy it on a roadside. The other part that I have found and practice, if you go to restaurants or a hotel, do not use their ice, because their ice is nothing than a pure just tap water, or anybody fills in there and make ice out of it, that could give you a bacteria or a diarrhea. So what I do if I'm in India, I take my bottles from home, then I tell the hotel, I say, hey, here's my 5 or 10 bottle, can you put in your freezer, and when I need it for the ice for drinking, because I love to drink, so I take in the evening and I use that ice as a drink. So that's what I do. And I think it helped me. I go there quite often. And thank God I have not got sick for last 6-7 trips. You're muted, sir.
Yeah, you're on mute.
You're muted, doctor.
So that was another wonderful practical tip to hear. Next 2 questions, which are my final 2 questions, relate more to the healthcare providers online, and anybody is welcome to answer those. But since Makhanji, you have a lot more knowledge of at least the 2 physicians I'm seeing on the screen here, they have about the water, I would include you in answering those questions. So these questions are not targeted to you, but in a general discussion sense. My first question is targeted towards Dr. Arora. So Sharad, if somebody has a thyroid condition and they take extra iodine, do you have any recommendation? Do you have any concerns in that situation?
So there are, so I think in the military, because they use those iodine tablets to sanitize their water if they're out on patrol or what have you. And so they looked at regular people, you know, military folks or what have you. And they did fine with, you know, with, of course, you know, a load, we get iodine salt and such. So they did fine with those. I can imagine that if somebody is from a country or somewhere where they were low on iodine, and then all of a sudden get an iodine load, that can lead to problems if they've had thyroid problems due to that. But otherwise, I don't see an issue so much. I think at least for the amount that you would expect that you can mix in the water without noticing that, you know, it's not just straight iodine.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that. Makhanji, you have any information on that? I am not expecting you, but if you did, I'll be completely taken.
Okay, the chemical alteration of drinking water, especially by chloride or any other halogen, is not a good idea until it is the only resource you get. For example, if you have no other option, what you have to have a drinking water, nothing available, now you got iodine pills in your pocket and a bottle you want to drop in there. Hey, it's better to have a risk drinking with a halogen than dying of thirst. Okay, so that's one effect. Second thing is, the best thing I found to travel either with those filters that you can drink swamp water with it, or carry a portable ultraviolet light. Very inexpensive, easy to carry, disposable, throw in your suitcase and go with it. If you are stuck there, there's no other option left, then add the iodine. Iodine should be the last resort, not the first choice.
Okay, that's another good practical advice. I'd like to say that anybody who has a thyroid condition, whether it's a hypo, that means low thyroid, or hyper, that means high thyroid, before you do anything with the iodine, please check with your healthcare provider to make sure that it's okay to use extra iodine, supplemental iodine, and in what quantity. So that is something that I thought would be important to sort of learn. And my last question here is that as you said, that these products, which are the reverse osmotic products in India, are going to be banned because of course, one reason is the water usage. But I saw one of your slides said that there are some health problems related with that process as well. I'm not expecting, but are you aware of any health problems that have been described during your research that you came across?
The one thing that keep on coming, that no matter, some people talk about distilled water being corrosive. Other people saying if you drink RO water all the time and most of the time and nothing but RO water, there's a health risk involved in there. It could cause your organ damage. And there could be a views, but when I read that statement from a WHO that it's not good for you to drink all the time, they did not say in what quantity, how long, how often, and they didn't detail that. But I looked at two statements, one from WHO, another from Mayo Clinic, right? How big a study have they done? I have not looked at the study. Neither I probably won't even understand. You guys are doctors, much more knowledgeable, educated, and have a great comprehension power than a guy like me. So my knowledge is limited.
I
So
fully,
sorry, I was gonna
yeah, go ahead, sir.
I was gonna say, I suspect it's due to them, having no dissolved minerals or salts or anything in that water. And if you do it for prolonged periods of time, you'll go low on all those items if that's all you're drinking, sort of like drinking distilled water continuously.
I was studying about the electrolyte in blood system, and they were talking about different things, but they were not something I could comprehend or make a good sense to talk about it. So I decided not to share the information that I couldn't understand myself. So forgive me for that, please.
That's no, that's a very good positioning, Makhanji, and I truly appreciate. You're right. There are the physicians are very, very good, knowledgeable of their field, 100%, and continue to maintain the new information and new technologies and improve their knowledge base on a daily basis. I will investigate, and I'm sure Dr. Arora will investigate. We'll look at the Mayo Clinic people and come back to our audience with the authentic information, because this is really important when we make recommendation to our friends and family who are using the same products in India. So that will be something that we can take away from your talk today. I see no further questions here. We are over 37 minutes, which is very pleasing. That it tells about the quality of the talk, the content, how interesting it was, and it also tells about how ignorant some of us are who are able to answer questions for longer than your original talk. And there is a comment comes from Girjaji. Thank you, Mr. Gupta, and all team members of Back to School. Goodbye for now. Got to leave. Thank you, Girjaji. It was nice having you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you on behalf of the ADS for attending this session and on this platform of Back to School. And I have a special vote of thanks for Makhanji for doing such laborious job in collecting the information, making the slides, and then incorporating all of his knowledge and wisdom gained in so many years of his interaction with water in about 38 slides, and he gave us a lot of information and practical tips. With that, I would like to close the recording, and I would like to close the meeting. And until the next meeting, goodbye, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.